Welcome to the Gulf Coast of Mississippi. I hear that oysters grow like weeds in this part of the country, and for as many different kinds of oysters as there are, there's a bunch of different ways to prepare them. Oysters on a half shell, fried oysters, grilled oysters. I'm gonna make my way along the coast and eat them all. You hear that, oysters? None of you are safe. No oyster left behind. Some beautiful weather we're having here. I'm at Harborview Cafe. This is me, standing at a cafe. That's Long Beach Harbor, and I'm viewing it. That is where all the delicious oysters come from, and I'm gonna eat them all. Every single one of them. Let's do it. Hey, Sean.
Hello.
What is up, man? Tell me a little bit about Harborview Cafe.
Harborview Cafe was established in 1994. Of course, Katrina came in 2005 and wiped them out. 6 months it took them to reestablish here in Long Beach. And we've actually been at this location for going on 10 years now.
Oysters are a big thing in Mississippi.
Yes, very big. Pasquarchan is full of reefs that we harvest locally.
When is the best time to have oysters?
Basically, your colder months are your best harvesting months.
Do you remember the first time you ever had oysters?
One of my earliest memories probably is my stepdad grabbing a full sack from the harbor and shucking them on the back of the truck and eating them straight off the shell.
Do kids eat oysters?
They do.
I never ate oysters as a kid. I would watch my parents eat oysters and be like, oh, we're so fancy and so cool. Blows my mind.
It's just something you're raised around.
See, I'm learning things. What are we gonna eat today? Or what do you recommend that I have?
Well, our most popular dish is the fried oyster platter, so we're gonna have that, and it's served with our house-made cocktail, tartar sauce, and coleslaw.
That sounds like something I wanna be eating right now. Gulf oysters are ginormous.
Yes.
I was thinking almost half the size of that. These are, whew. How do you prepare these?
We go from the fresh oyster straight into the flour, coat them, and into a hot fryer.
Gonna eat it! Hell yeah. Whoa. It starts out with a really crunchy, awesome texture of the breading that's very spiced. But then you get this explosion of the briny oyster on the inside. It's two different crazy extremes. It's so good.
It's as fresh as you can get seafood. They are literally shucked 4 miles down the road and brought to us and fried up. Like, you cannot get them any fresher unless you're eating them off the tailgate of the truck, shucking them and throwing them in your mouth.
These were hanging out in the ocean probably like earlier today, being like, it's a great day. Sorry, guys. Sean, this has been an awesome start. I know there's a big, wide world of oysters out there, and I just don't want to settle. It's not you, it's me. I don't want to have one oyster for the rest of my life. You understand?
Yes, I do.
Thank you for a great
Thank you so much
day.
for coming to see us.
Enjoy this weather, honestly.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be great.
I'm here at the original half-shell oyster house, and although 10 different locations have popped up along the Gulf Coast from Florida to Louisiana, this building is the original. The building's historic, the oysters are legendary. I need to get my hands on all of them. There's oysters in the rain to cause me. Okay, can we talk about how it's 2018 and like this is how far we've come with umbrellas? Like, do better. Oh, it's really stuck. I can't. What's up, Josh?
Doing great.
Give me the whole scoop on the half shell.
So basically a seafood concept, and we specialize in a lot of seafood steaks, but mainly oysters. Early in 2009, we opened our Gulfport location, which is the one we're in right now. And from there, the brand kind of took off for us.
People like what you're doing. Do you remember the first time you ever had oysters?
Oh, for me, that's a funny story I can't forget because I actually worked with half shell for about 3 years before I would even try one. I was very scared of them. Very scared of the texture, and then one day I actually tried our Orleans off the grill. You can slap me crazy. Those are the best thing I've ever had, and I will not stop eating them.
Oh my gosh.
I'll eat them every day.
What's the best way for me to get the most amount of oysters in my face? What should I order?
Definitely got to have the sampler then. The sampler, you're going to get a selection of everything, and it's the best bang for your buck.
It's here.
There it is.
On this platter here we have.
Okay, so of course the Orleans. That is our award-winning oyster.
And that's what turned you on oysters.
That is the oyster that turned me on. It is a chipotle garlic herb butter.
What? Oh my God.
Garlic and herb butter. Oh, that's the stuff. Is that not amazing?
That's unreal. The brininess of the oyster itself like kind of takes a back seat to like all the spices that are thrown at you.
Absolutely.
It almost tastes like pesto pizza with Parmesan and like hot sauce.
A raw oyster, you're really looking for the taste of the oyster, but when you're getting a baked or a grilled oyster, you're really looking for that topping or sauce as the highlight.
If you hadn't told me that there was chipotle in this, I would have thought that it was just like this, you know, out of this world, complex Creole sauce, but it's deceptively simple.
A very simple sauce down to about 5 or 6 ingredients actually. And the chipotle is the secret hidden gem.
It ties everything together and it just like elevates it to this like new level.
We also have our Bienville. Bacon and shrimp and jumbo lump crab meat with a little green onion, some white wine, and we basically make a topping and we put it on top of the oyster and bake the topping to where it's a golden brown.
It's like a seafood orgy on top of the oyster.
That's exactly what it is.
With bacon invited. What? It's an aphrodisiac. It's gonna be an orgy. Ooh.
Little white pepper finish maybe?
That was a journey. You had like this, like some spicy seafood, but you had a nice little like cheddar bacon biscuit with it. That's an entire meal in a shell.
That's right.
It's like the future.
Seafood buffet on top of an oyster. Just gotta come down to the south for that kind of great seafood.
I know, man. And it's
Gone.
stupid, and it's gone. The baby forks make you think you're eating a lot of it. And then
you've got our char grilled, which is a white wine, garlic, and herb butter.
okay. Oh yeah. It's quite a hefty amount of garlic up on there, Josh.
Yes, indeed.
It's good. Josh, does my breath smell okay? In this one, the oyster is the star.
That's correct.
And everything else is just like, hey man, we got you. Look how good you look. Look how good you taste. It's not too overcooked, so it's like still got some juicy like feel. You know you're eating an oyster, you're not just eating like, what is that?
Yeah. What is so cool is the shell acts as a dish for the oyster. And the flames are hitting it, it's using itself to hold the sauce and actually cooking the oyster in the shell.
That
we don't
flavor.
lose the juice or flavor.
Right.
Yes, ma'am, that's right.
Interesting, Josh. All right, so this bad boy right here.
Now that is our Rockefeller. That is one of the guests' more favorite. It's spinach, cream cheese, and a little Pernod, which is a licorice flavored liqueur.
Ooh, like a sambuca or some sort
Similar,
of. Can
very
I say
similar,
that?
absolutely.
Okay.
That's a moment right there.
The broiling of the Parmesan on top kind of encases it a little bit.
It does.
Oh, there's the black liquor, like the licorice you kind of
licorice
taste.
finish. There you go.
Okay.
Yep. That anise is really a New Orleans style flavor.
You got some savoriness of the cream cheese and the Parmesan, and then you have the earthiness of the spinach with the brininess of the oyster. It's nice to have that liqueur because it adds a little sweetness to it. But it's crazy because it's all these like intense end of the spectrum flavors that you think would clash. But, you know, tied together, they're actually very decadent. Well, you really did rock my feller. This is my first time ever having, you know, baked and charbroiled oysters. I love that I got to taste a bunch of different things in one sitting, change my perspective on like oysters' capabilities.
Perfect way to put it. That's really what we try to do with our oysters here and all of our food really is give not only a great value, but something you cannot get everywhere else.
And you did just that.
Perfect.
Cheers, man.
Cheers. It was a pleasure.
This gorgeous building behind me is White Pillars Restaurant. It's a historical landmark. No one really knows how it got its name. It's a farm-to-table restaurant, or in this case, ocean-to-table, that's exploring all the new ways you can eat oysters. It's a very fancy restaurant, so this up, but like nicely. Hi, welcome to Oysters R Us. My name's Courtney. This is my assistant, Austin.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the White Pillars.
This is the most gorgeous kitchen I think I've ever been in my entire life.
Thank you. I designed it myself.
Pinterest the shit out of this place, man. Well, tell me a little bit about White Pillars.
Farm to table, local seasonal restaurant. We're located right here on the beach. We change the menu all the time. It reflects what's available seasonally.
How often do you change up the menu?
Every day.
What are you guys doing that takes it to the next level and like really elevates it?
We start with a different kind of oyster. These are farm-raised oysters. I like to call them, they're Gucci oysters.
What are we gonna be making today?
We're making our oyster three ways dish. We'll be doing a fried, raw, and grilled version. So we're gonna start with our fried oysters.
Okay.
So we're gonna put these oysters in buttermilk first.
Great.
We're gonna hit this with a little bit of hot sauce. Just gonna add a little salt and pepper. Then we're gonna take 2 of these oysters and we're gonna put them in the buttermilk. So for our garnishes on the oyster, we're gonna do some fried capers. We'll strain off our capers a little bit, and then this is gonna go in the fryer. Hey, look at us, we're frying capers.
Whoa!
Told you it was gonna get exciting.
It's really exciting.
And boom,
Oh my gosh, they exploded.
they exploded, fried caper berries.
That's such a good idea.
Well, you know, we're in Mississippi, so you have to put fried stuff on top of your fried
Right.
stuff. All right, we're gonna make the aioli. So
Nice.
we're gonna start with a little bit of zest. You think you can handle that big knife over there?
Yeah.
We're gonna do a little squeeze. That's the
Catches.
colander. Just a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, a little mix action on there.
Okay.
It's delicious.
Oh yeah. I'm a professional.
Then we're gonna put this in a little piping bag, like so, because we're gonna do a little dollop on there. Second to last garnish, we have pickled red pearl onions. So we're gonna make our dry mix now. Equal parts cornmeal, corn flour, little AP flour. Then we're gonna do just a little pinch of cayenne in there too. Then we need a little salt and pepper. Then we're gonna do a mix. Let's fish those oysters out of here and throw them in our dry mix. Just a little light breading. You see how that's beautiful. We're ready to fry some oysters. We're just gonna drop these oysters in only for a brief moment. All we want is golden brown and delicious on the outside, creamy, perfect on the inside. Perfect oysters, salt and pepper.
Yeah, cause yeah.
You got to. So we're gonna go right onto our plate right here. We're gonna go right back in the shell, right where they just came out of. So now we're gonna garnish. This is our aioli that we made earlier. We're just gonna do a nice little dot right on top. So we're gonna do our fried caper berries, nice and crisp and briny and delicious. And we're going with our pickled red pearl onion right on top of that. And then just a little fresh tarragon.
The garnishes are getting smaller as we go.
There we go. That's a fried oyster. Next, we're gonna do our 2 grilled oysters. We're gonna make the butter to go on the grilled oysters. We're gonna add a little green onions that are directly out of the garden outside. We're gonna add a little bit more of that hot sauce from earlier, and we're gonna do some lime.
Yum. 4 hours later.
All right, so we're gonna take 2 of our oysters. We're gonna put just a nice little dollop of butter on there. So
Okay.
these are ready for the grill. So we're gonna go right on the flame. We don't wanna overcook these. We just wanna melt that butter. So these are ready.
Oh, that's it.
That's it. So you see that? Nice and bubbly there. Almost poached in its own juices and butter.
Don't lose any of that butter, man.
Try not to.
Let's get these on the plate because
All
we got
right.
one more.
That's right, one more.
What's next with these fine oysters?
Just get a little bit of green onion garnish.
Nice job. Raw oyster time. Let's hit it up.
Just a little drop of our house-made hot sauce. Chive oil too, this is just olive oil, chives, and a little bit of salt. Some Mississippi paddlefish caviar. We're gonna do just a little bit on top of each one of these guys. To finish it off, just a little sprig of dill. And that is our finished dish.
These look incredible. Can we get to eating these now, please?
I'd love to.
All right, cool. I'm gonna need the biggest fork you have. So let's start off by being extra fancy. So we start like this, right?
Yep. Could you
Two elbows.
put your elbows on the table?
Some chins. Okay, like this. And then you grab a champagne like that, right?
All right, exactly.
Cheers. Fancy clink. That tastes expensive. Let's get to eating, please, because I'm hungry.
Let's do it.
Okay, thanks. Clink. What the hell was that, man? That was good. That breading, it's perfect. It's so light, so it gives you the crunch and that feel of a full breading that keeps the oyster like nice and intact and juicy, so it's just like a nice little pop. You introduce the flavor of the oyster rather than that weird texture that sometimes can be very off-putting to people that makes them not even want to try it. I can say it's damn good though, because it is. Let's move on to the next oyster, shall we?
Nice.
Smoky butter bomb.
Smoky butter bomb. good. I'm gonna use that.
I just tasted like that wood-burning smoky feel, the heat of the chili, the little acidity of the lime. The green onion adds a fresh element to it, but it also gives it a little bit of texture that it needs. So it adds some crunch.
Visually appealing as well.
It just like finishes off with this really, it's not too briny, it's this like beautiful oyster taste. I didn't know oysters could be this. Last but not least, the raw. If someone came into the restaurant and they were like, I hate oysters, would you offer them this as almost a training camp of like starting fried and then working their way down?
I kind of like that idea of it, actually.
I can be a camp counselor if you would like. Be like, 3 more, you got this. I don't know. You've thought of everything. I mean, you have the oil to add like a little bit of the fat and kind of mellow that out and like help pair really well with that heat. The pop of the caviar pairs obviously well with like the fishy, briny sort of feel, but like it gives it a little bit of texture. Everything else is just like an added bonus.
I appreciate that, but it's really more about the oyster than it is about us. We're just happy that we have some cool products like this to work with.
And then there comes the humble part. He's like, I didn't do much except take your mind for a journey. Thank you so much for such an incredible time and for showing me how amazing oysters and Mississippi is. Cheers.
Cheers.
Have a great night. I gotta get out of here. I just feel as though I need to, this is probably the better idea. Hey, wait, do you guys do like to-go boxes? Like, do you?
Oh yeah, we can get you one going right now.
Yeah, okay. Let's talk about oysters for a second. So you're telling me that someone saw this shell, cracked it open, saw a boogery, slimy thing, and was like, oh my gosh, that looks delicious. In Mississippi, with so many oysters around, they've developed hundreds of different ways to eat these incredible little dudes. Let me tell you something, thank God they did. So get out there and try some more oysters. I mean, what are you guys doing? Quit shucking around.